ክቡራት ተከታተልቲ ኣብ ውሽጥና ፌስቡክን እንኳዕ ደሓን መጻእኹም ናይ ሎሚ ሰሚናር ኣርእስትና ከም ትሪእዎ ዘለኹም ድሕሪ ኢሳያስ ኣፈወርቂ ትህሊ ኤርትራ መፍትሒ ምንዳይ ዲያስፖራና ከዓ ብዘይተማእከለ ፌደራላዊ ቅዋም ሞዴል ምጥርናፍ ዝብል ኣርእስቲ እዩ ብዓረብን እንግሊዝኛን ኣሎ። ስለዚ ድሕሪ ዛ ደርፊ እዚኣ ናብቲ ቀንዲ ናይ ሰሚናር ኣርእስትና ንፈልጥ ኢና ማለት እዩ። ናይ ሎሚ ሞዴሬተር ኮይኑ ነዚ መድረክ ዝኣልየልና ካብ ምምሕዳር ስኒትና ኔትወርክ ኣቶ ጎይትኦም መብራህቱ ክኸውን ከሎ ናይ ሎሚ ናይ ክብሪ ዕድምና ከዓ ኣቶ መሐመድ ዩሱፍ መሐመድ ፕሬዚደንት ናይ Eritrean Afar National Congress እዩ ማለት እዩ። እሞ እንኳዕ ደሓን መጻእኹም ኩልኩም ነዚ መደብ እዚ ናብ ኩሉ ሼር ንምግባር ኣይተሕምቁ ተሓባበሩና። መደብና ኩሉ ግዜ ሬከርድ ይኸውን እዩ ኣብ ዩቲዩብ ንወፅእ እዩ ዝኾነ ሰብ ገፁ ንርኣይ ዝሰፍሖ እንተደኣ ኮይኑ ካሜራ ዓፂሑ ክዛረብ ይኽእል እዩ። ብዝተረፈ ካሜራ ወሊዕና እንተዛረብና ዝበለፀ እዩ። ብተወሳኺ እቶም ኣብ ውሽጢ ዘይኣተኹም ኣብ ፌስቡክ ዘለኹም ሕቶታትኩም ይኹን ርእቶታትኩም ካብኡ እናተቐበልና ንውሽጢ ከንሕልፎ ኢና። ስለዚ ኣነፅርን ንሕፅርን ኣቢልኩም ክትፅሕፍዎ ከዓ እላጎ ዮሃንስ እንኳዕ ደሓን መጻእኹም። ኦኬ እሞ ጎይትኦማይ ናባኻ ገድፎት መድረክ ሕጂ መድረክ ናባኻ ጎይትኦም።
እሺ يغنيلنا كم تزبلك يا خدقم وقعد حن مساكم ويلكم everyone نايلومي أرستنا دحر إسياس أفورقي PFDJ وإرترا مفتح من داي بدحري يقدف مفتح من داي دياسبورا بزماكله ፌደራላዊ ቅዋም ሞዴል ጥርናፈ ትብል ኮይኑ ብጻይ ኣሕመድ ብሓውና ኣሕመድ ብእንግሊሽ ከቅርበልና ኣብ ገለ እንድሕር ተጻጊምና ክንተሓጋገዘን ሓድና ንኽእል ኢና። But our topic is finding solutions for post-Isaias Afwerki, PFDJ Eritrea, and uniting our diaspora through democratized federal constitution model, the Afar Model. Zibul Koinu, who is Brother Ahmed? I think I have one note that I need to read, and then I'll give him the chance to elaborate or if he wants to add more. Mr. Ahmed Yusuf Mohammed is a Cardinal or Canadian of Afar origin, a rights advocate, and a staunch defender of Afar human rights. Over the years, he has raised the bar for the voiceless Afar and raised awareness for respect for Afar human and political rights in Eritrea, with a number of governments, non-governmental organizations, the United Nations, and other rights groups, including Canadian First Nations organization. Ahmed was also instrumental in setting up various political groups and a co-founder of a joint Afar Canadian NGO called the Can Go Afar Foundation, a humanitarian organization that aims to empower the ancient nomadic Afar people in the Horn of Africa by boosting awareness and advocacy for the voiceless. He is the current president of the Eritrean Afar National Congress, EANC, a senior Afar political organization dedicated to the rights of the Afar nations, internal self-determination and self-government in the traditional Afar territory of Dankalia in Eritrea. This is who this is the man who is going to present as his idea today. And once we hear from him, we are going to give him around 40 minutes. He may not need it all, but this is our start and stand here in Snitna network. And I think I'll give him the floor first. He can add or reduce from what I said, and then give him the chance to elaborate and tell us what he has got for us today. And then we will all have the chance to first ask questions to understand what he has said, and then elaborate or even comment thereafter. Everyone is welcome, and I think I'll pass it over to my brother, Ahmed. Go on. Those who are here already, I'm sure all of them understand English, will not have any trouble. But if some finds it a bit difficult and want some elaboration, there are lots of people here who can help and explain what that meant. Have a nice evening to you all, and go ahead, Brother Ahmed.
Thank you so much, Brother Goitom and Brother Johannes, our elders who are gathered here. It is a great pleasure for me to represent the Afar voice. Most of the time, we do not have opportunities like this to exchange our ideas, our historic backgrounds. So this is a great pleasure and honor for me to be among you and to share some highlight of the Afar situation in my capacity. So thank you very much, and your introduction was perfect. I do not have a lot to add, except I may want to show you to just give you a background. So let me just put this screen share here. So, you know, perhaps some of you already know about the background of my late father. So I probably, if you can see this picture, you can just tell me you see it. Otherwise,
Yes.
I will. Okay, so I do not want to waste too much time, but maybe most of you are no. This is actually another slide that I wanted to show you. Okay, so let's just take this one down, and let me show you this one here. Okay, so so I in addition to what Brother Goitom has said, I was born in a village called Harsile. It's just outside the outskirts of Asab, and then moved on to graduate in Asab from high school, and then moved on to the United States, and then I made my way to Canada. So my father, as you can see the picture here, is Sheikh Yusuf Muhammad Ali. So Sheikh Yusuf served in a number of capacity. This is the time of the Ethiopian emperor time. He represented Dankalia, as you can see the old postage showing from 1956 to 1967. So then again, he after he retired, he served in the Asab municipality of Asab. He was also Afar traditional elder, as you can see, Makabantu. So this is just to give you a background.
Brother Ahmed,
Yes.
Ahmed, I think we are stuck on the Snitna presentation pictures rather than to continue.
Okay.
You need probably to press and forward.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to just close this one here. So if you can see the now the actual presentation. Can you see this one here?
The Snitna presentation
The
is
first
stuck.
page
Yes,
is the
yes. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so that's just an outline of what I was going to talk about. So just so you know my background. So so to say that I'm following my the footsteps of my father, so to speak. So here you have just wanted to, you can see it now. Yeah, so this is basically the ancient history. I just want to go
ancient
through
Afar history.
Perfect. So to just quickly go through this, I know for many of our brothers and sisters in Eritrea, they may not fully understand the historic background of the Afar nation. So as you can see in this slide, the Afar are indigenous people to this part of the world. Their homeland extends to today's modern sovereignties of Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Djibouti. So this area is known as the Afar Triangle. So in this territory, the Afar have a documented history of over 5,000 millennia, over 5,000 years, including the pre-Islamic rule area. So this is the future of Afar people, cultural identity, basically pretty much the geographic structure where the Afar territory is. Most of you are familiar with it anyways. So during this time, prior to the scramble for Africa by the European colonialists, the Afar have known to have a long established relations with empires and countries like Egypt, Yemenis, Saudis, and of course the Turkish Empire. They built the building that most of that are existing today were built by, in fact, by the Turkish Empire time, like cities in Obok and Asab and Tajura. You can still see.
Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, comments are being passed. You know, if you can enlarge the slide, you know, at the bottom right hand corner.
Okay.
You have icons. No, on the left hand side. No, left. There is an icon left.
Oh, I see.
Click that. Yeah.
Okay.
Now we are on the screen, so you can use your arrow to
like this.
The next.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Now it's better.
Perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So they basically, I was just going through the history of the Afar territories and you know, historic engagement with the European colonialists, or prior to that with the empires like Turkish Empire and so on. So during the scramble for Africa, obviously the Afar territories were the target of the European colonialists. So when they came to the Afar shore, as you can see, to the current sovereignty of Djibouti and Eritrea, during this time the Afar nation had already developed independent sultanates. They had control over much of their territories. They had self-rule, governing structure over their affairs in their territories, made peace treaties such as the using their authorities and customary laws with the neighboring nations from Abyssinia and with the Europeans, of course. The colonialists at the time, of course, as they done in everywhere in Africa, they have used a strategy of divide and conquer. So both Italians and the French used the double-sided strategy with the Afar nation. at times use violence, another time use diplomacy and mutual agreements to sign treaties to control the Afar coast. So I'm going to quickly show you maybe tell me if you can see this, Brother Johannes. Can you see this?
It didn't move.
Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah,
This is just
where the ASAP, well, importance of Afar and Dankalia, yes.
Can you see the convention number 14 here in front of you? No?
No.
No. Okay, so let me just okay, so because this is on the slide here, I'm going to stop this slide because this is not part of the okay, here we go. Okay, so so share screen and okay, maybe this one here. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is just an example of what the Afar sultanates. The Sultanate of Rahaita was very influential at the time of Italo-French colonialist period. From this picture, you can see this is of course the sultanates of the Rahaita. Its governance went through all the way to the current Djibouti territories. So this is in that time. So the sultanates of Rahaita have made peace treaties and agreement with various, like I said, with the rules, including the French and Italian. You know, some of these documents can be found in documentation of treaties, can be found in a book called Al-Manhal by the Afar scholar and writer, late Dr. Hashim Kamaluddin. So some of this is just to give you the treaties and okay, so let me just stop this. Back to this slide. So again, here we go. So this is just to give you an example of what the Afar, as indigenous people, as people who are in control of their tradition and governance within the territories. This is prior to, of course, the colonialist Italian colonial time. So and also another times the Italians came in confrontation with the Afar. So in one instance, for example, in Rahaita, the conflict broke between the Italians and the Rahaita Sultanate when the Italians tried to attack the cultural base of the Afar locals. A few Italians were killed and the Afar leaders were captured and taken to Italy without any return. The conflict broke over the drum, the so-called gibagib. It's called dinkara in Djibouti. When the Italians wanted to take this drums, highly significant instrument, when the crowning of Sultanate happens. So resulting in the conflict between the Afar and the colonial forces in Rahaita. So similarly, in the region of Gobat in Djibouti, the Sultan of Gobat at the time, Sultan Laoita Ahmed, opposed the Italian and the French colonialist powers into his territory. After resisting the French, he was kidnapped. He was actually captured and taken to Madagascar, the French colony at that time, and he died in captivity there. So you may also have heard the conflict, the great Sultan of Biru Yasin Haisama in Eritrea. So the Sultan, the anti-colonial sentiment was led by Sultan of Garifo, Sultan Yasin Haisama, lasted over 30 years. This was a very costly conflict for the Afar nation, as thousands of the Afar have been sacrificed defending their territory. The young Sultan of Haisama then went to the Emperor Haile Selassie seeking military support. At the time, the Afar only had a single rifle, a handheld single rifle, Abu Habba, like you know, you guys may remember it. It's something like a Baker rifle type. So Haile Selassie was no help for Sultan of Biru. He only gave him 10 rifles, and the Sultan returned to Biru. He actually contracted a sickness in Addis Ababa, was Fantata, a disease called chickenpox. So he came back to his territory, and with the, of course, his soldiers was also infected by this new disease, and many of them died. So this is to tell you that the trip to Addis Ababa was not fruitful, was not any help to defend the Afar territories from the Italians to come in through Bidu. So after 30 years of resistance, resistance against the Italians, the Afar did no longer pose a challenge to the Italians inside Eritrea. Was also not fortunate to combat the advanced military equipment of the Italians. So the siege by the Afar was broken. The young Afar Sultan Haisama was captured and killed in his hometown of Biru. The Italians then went on to freely go into Ethiopia and the highlands of Eritrea by road. Started building the asphalt road, as you may know, from leading to Ethiopia. Until this day, the Afar elders curse the asphalt road from Asab, Wallo to Addis Ababa, remembering the heavy loss of the Afar nation to the Italians. So during this time, the Afar, so this is to just tell you the background of the resistance and what sacrifice the Afar have paid dearly in this part of their territory, of course. So now we want to jump into, this is the agreements that I was talking to you about, 19 conventions and agreements signed between the Afar and the foreign powers at that time. And this is the colonial resistance by the Afar, as you can see on the left. This is actually the New York Times article on November 4, 1935, talking about the Afar, the Afar are harassing the Italian positions inside Eritrea, and they were of course, after the defeat, they retreated to attacking at night the Italian positions. So now, most of you may remember these elders who are leading commanders and in various historic times, of course. I mean, of course, starting from the Italian invasion. So the one you see here, this is the sultans of Rahaita I talked about in the 1860s. This is the current sultan of Rahaita. This is, of course, our father. You may remember Sheikh Mohammed Akito here. This is also Muhammad Ibrahim Shahem. He was representative of Dankalia after my father. This is Din Ismail. You may remember Din Ismail here, Goitom, your colleague, Ali Ishaq. Yes, so yeah, you will know Ahmed here in the picture here, Ahmed.
Definitely.
And also Ragi. This is Ragi Ibrahim here. Ragi is one of the unique Afar elders that sacrificed so much. He was a businessman. He was a salt mining businessman, but he was especially during the liberation struggles have managed to save lives, and in fact helped hundreds of liberation fighters, financing his own money to send them to Yemen and send them to other areas that was critically needed at that time. So unfortunately, on one incident, he gave 70,000 birr at that time. That was lots of money to buy a vehicle to Jabha, and somebody from Jabha reported him to Ethiopian authorities in Asab, and they captured him. He was about to be hanged. Most of his friends were hanged, but luckily he was saved with the intervention of the local population. Raised up, and they said, this is the only man who's helping us here, and fortunately his life was saved, but he served 14 years in prison. He later died just after the Shabiya took over. So this is one of the unique struggles of our elders in Dankalia. This one here, of course, you may know this picture, Brother Goitom. This is Ahmed Saleh, who lived with you in UK. Yes, he died in UK. He was very influential at the time of liberation struggle as well. This is I think Ahmed Yusuf Abu Bakr. This is a gentleman I was telling you about. He was first to actually establish an office in Djibouti for ELF, and with the help of his contact with the sultanates of Rahaita and the sultanates of Obo, his knowledge in the area called Asbol, not far away from where I was born. He was a man to deal with at that time. Like the actions they would take night raids in the convoy of Ethiopian military crossing from Asab to La Massan in Gibdo. They were attacked. They burned so many vehicles from the Ethiopian military, and he was leading commander in this area. So Ahmed Yusuf, he's still alive. He's in Obok, Djibouti. So this is just to tell you a brief history of the Afar struggle within the liberation struggle. So let's jump into the unfortunate time of what we find ourselves in. The Eritrean regime, as all of you know, has been nothing short of new colonialist power when it comes to the Afar people. Eritrea is in fact colonizing Afar in a way much worse than both the Ethiopian and the Italian empires combined. When I say that, I don't mean it lightly. I mean the regime has deliberately destroyed the Afar way of life, the Afar culture, the Afar identity, the Afar resources. They have, you name it, it is in the verge of clearing Afar from this historic region of Dankalia. So if we look at the ways the Eritrean regime have used against the Afar, as many of you know, is happening not just to the Afar, but all of the Eritrean. Our youngsters have been fleeing, for the safety as refugees by tens and tens of thousands. Many of them are dying on the sea. Many of them are, you see the pictures here, are torture, and those who have made it through to the border in Ethiopia. Here you can see This is a picture I took personally when I greeted these people just as they crossed the Badda border to Ethiopia. And we have worked with the UNHCR to register about 57,000 Afar who are registered. There are like 2 or 3 times more Afar in Ethiopia alone who are not registered. So this is to say the regime has used violence. They have used so many policies to break down the Afar family system, to break down their democratic rights, to break down their economic way of life. They have prevented the Afar from fishing. They have taken away all of their means to support themselves as indigenous people. So this is the result of what the regime's atrocities. They are rooting the Afar from Dankalia. Over 3/4 of the Afar have fled Eritrea as a result of persecution and violence. So not only by the means of violence, but the Eritrean regime has also invited international actors to kill us. People like United Arab Emirates, the corporations like potash corporations who are care less about the human rights, like Australian corporations. You know, these groups have joined the Eritrean regime to displace the Afar. So this is part of the internal colonization that I was talking to you about. After deliberately removing Afar through violence, you can see the potash corporations here. This is a United Arab Emirates taking all the areas of Mak'aka, that the homeland of Ragi Ibrahim. This is in fact his own salt mining. As we speak, this is his property, his private property, was sold to United Arab Emirates. His family and all of his property was cleared for the United Arab Emirates to build the airport in Eritrea's partnership with the UAE to fight against Yemen at that time. So no Afar have been compensated for this. In fact, many of the people, over 2,000 people, were displaced from this, and most of them are in refugee camps in Isaita in Ethiopia somewhere. So this is the tragic conditions of our people through the discriminatory policies of the Isaias and PFDJ era. Of course, many of you have heard the recent Eritrea. It's not in this picture, this is an old picture, but Eritrea's engagement with China and Russia is at the highest level right now. Eritrea is counting on support, the military or other support from Russia and China. This we fear that's going to displace more of our people in Dankalia. So yeah, this is an area of the potash was taken near Badda. This is in fact the company directors are standing on our graves and to inspect, and most of these graves were cleared for the potash digging to take place in this part. So here is the situation. As you can see, the Eritrean regime have used the motto of this to colonize our people. Even though the 1997 constitution was not, it was ratified, but it was not implemented. It's still part of Eritrean regime that is taking the part of this constitution to take over all the Afar properties. The Eritrean regime have declared all the lands that we spoke about, all the properties and territories that the Afar people sacrificed for during the past 300 years, including the colonial times. This has all been given to the PFDJ and Eritrean property, become Eritrea's property. There is destruction of customary laws, as I told you about, the cultural assimilations, and you name it has been going on. So the yeah, this is the proclamations of the where Eritrea claimed to have the right over the territories of the Afar resources, strategic resources. So this proclamation stated that the customary laws that used to govern the Afar culture and the governance of the land distribution by the Afar sultanates and others were in fact a colonial product, and it was very old, so they needed to replace it with the giving all the land rights to the state, which means to the PFDJ and Afwerki. This is why he's selling all the strategic territories of Afar land and resources. So this is the way our people are being affected. The borders are closed, the sea is closed, the salt minings and the fisheries and the pastoralists have been all affected and under threat. So as a result of these policies, the Afar are one of the most impoverished community inside Eritrea. And we are significantly, like many Eritreans are affected, but because of the nature of our people, because of the attachment with the land and the sea, the atrocities is double horrific events have been taking place. So when the United Nations, of course, informed about this situation, we work hard to highlight the suffering of our people. The United Nations, in fact, even this June 9th, the new Special Rapporteur Babakir have reported in his latest report about the atrocities against the Afar in Eritrea. So now, historically, I went through the historic situation of our people. We went through the suffering and the continuous internal colonization by Eritrean regime in the means of why they have targeted not just violence but systematic way of attacking the Afar people. We spoke about the cultural revolution after 1991 and 93. The Eritrean regime have attacked the cultural identity of the Afar people. How did they do that? They said the authorities, the new authorities decided, the PFDJ decided the Eritrea should embrace a new this is the article in one of the 1997 constitution. The state shall be responsible for creating and promoting conditions conducive for development of national culture, capable of expressing national identity, the unity and progress of Eritrean people. So the regime take it upon itself to create a new culture. They wanted Eritrea's past 9+ diverse cultures no longer capable of representing the new country. So it decided we're going to have a new national culture, meaning the rights of the Afar and others, the Kunamas and other minorities, is no longer capable of representing Eritrea's culture, Eritrea's new identity. This is the way the regime has attacked the culture. So when it comes to the land grabbing, I told you about the United Arab Emirates, about the potash being sold illegally to the likes of China. Now that the potash that Australians have started are given to China. So the continuations of these illegal land expropriations are continued to be going on for no one knows how long. So let me stop this here. Radionas, I need to have so the idea here is what are we going to do, brothers and sisters? We know I have just shared you the sacrifice that the Afar people have paid throughout the years. Historically, we understand Eritrea cannot be Eritrea without participation of the Afar people, and likewise, the Afar cannot survive without support and democratic rights of our people by the Eritrean government. So what we need at this moment is to see what is really happening to the people like the Afar, and to have a common vision for us to be united. It pains me to just speak on behalf of the Afar people here, but in reality, that's how we operate. Everyone is worried about his territory or his group, because we cannot find out how we cannot have a common vision that is all inclusive to all of Eritreans. So this is why we think the Afar model, we call it the Afar model, but it's nothing new. Most of you have already seen it. So for us to unite in the future of our country, we need to have a democratic vision that is going to bind us. How can we establish a democratic vision? So for us to, as a united Eritrea, as a nation that have such a diverse history of culture and identity, religion, what is possible for us to come together in a way that is uniting us in diaspora? So one of those instruments, one of those vehicles that is going to bind us here today, unite us here today, and establish democratic governance in our country is a decentralized federal arrangement between Eritrean peoples, between Eritrean 8 provinces, as it used to be prior to 1991. We must embrace the federal structure, as it's a power sharing in a structure that is always have been used internationally, that have always resulted in many civilized democracies. About I believe there is 25 major democratic nations are currently have a federal democratic structure, and names like United States, Canada, Switzerland, Belgium, India, Germany, most civilized nations. They are comprised up to 40% of the world population. Almost 3.1 billion people are under current federal structure. So Eritrea is a tiny nation. We have a population, give or take, of 4 or 5 million people. Our resources are so vast. Our history is, as you've seen, is always been sacrifice for the land and protect our people, our countries, our territories from international or regional colonialists. So for us to come up with a solution like a decentralized federation is the only way that's going to bind us here as a united opposition, at the democratic opposition against the Eritrean regime. It also will envision, or it's also fulfill our aspirations to be a democratic nation that respects the rights of all of its citizens, including the indigenous and minorities. So thank you very much. I'm going to leave it at that, and I appreciate your time. And I am looking forward for any questions that might be coming from our audience. Thank you, Brother Goitom.
Thank you, Brother Ahmed. Thank you very much. I can't admire your presentation in few words, believe me. Let's work together to find a solution to our problem. No one has a fixed 100% answer for everyone. We should work together, negotiate, discuss, and find out a way forward. What more can one ask? Of course, we heard about the dynasties, how independent sort of decision-making the Afar people have had over the time, even before the Italians. The Italians and all colonizers, as usual, have used double standards. One day they discuss, the other day they use power or inflict, like PFDJ, putting them in prisons, and so many politicians has left and died abroad. About Rahaita, the sultanates of the one that we have lived and knew about, Beru, people like Haisama, Kamal ad-Din. I think I'm not going to waste time to repeat what you have just said. All the points that I made are exactly a repeat of what you said. But just to remind, if people have come in late, people who needed help against the Italians have met Emperor Haile Selassie and got about 10 guns or something to defend with in Beru, the rifles. Again, many died to defend. After 10 years of opposing, the Italians got it everything because they were so powerful. And like our grandfathers, like Haisama, has been killed in Beru. The Italians managed to build the Asab Road to Wallo, despite the opposition, and conventions has taken place during those times. Even in 1935, pictures of leaders from 1869, we saw them vividly here until 1991. And people like Brother Girmay may come later on. He knew, like me, many of them who have contributed for the independence of Eritrea. And then the land proclamation of 58 of 1994 made or helped the so-called PFDJ in Eritrea to commit the atrocities that has, as you put it nicely, the inflict has happened to every Eritrean, but obviously it cannot be the same because of their own background and the situation they were in. One may have been in towns like Asmara. The inflict may be not like the one who have been living on fishing. Once you take fishing out and never had any cow or goat, never had any land to plow, and then the death is completely different, though all of them are dying. Self-determination, land rights, I think power sharing, decentralized federal state, all of them. Of course, federal system can vary from place to place because it is, to me, it is the top part of democracy. But it is something that we have to reach into it like gradually, my understanding, that rather than keeping the top and then work downwards. Afar is part of Eritrea. Afar may not be successful without Eritrea, and Eritrea cannot be Eritrea without Afar. The main point that you put nicely. What can bring us together? How can we work here in diaspora so we can prepare ourselves for the time coming after PFDJ? Unless my father used to say, which means a thorn cannot be sharpened after some time. It starts from day one to be sharp. If we don't have any democratic way of understanding and working together now, it cannot happen once we go to Eritrea, or it cannot just come suddenly, and no one expects it to be a gift. given to any one of us. I think I'll stop here. People can ask questions first, and then the elaboration and comments can follow. Let's start with questions, burning questions first, and then we go into sharing ideas with each other. بؤنت أقراربو بتعمي دحقوسيو قالينا توما بتدانكاليا زنبرنا خا كمتي كانزو لك إنا نقنزو maybe كاب كال إسلاز بقولنا كال وقلنا إرتراس إسلاز بقولنا أنت زي كوينو حسام قبل لعل دانكال حزب دانكال زوارده لعلو كله ويكا معريو يرد أن كوين سمعنا نقنزو خا تعمشت أتي فلور كفتنا لنا نباخم unless كابوس أتي admin comment خال أنت زي هاليكم
تراي نتم بفيسبوك زكاتاتو لزلو حتتات ويريتو اليوم أنا سر بلهم كأربو نسوع كالي سو كم زل خايا قصل كويتو ماي
كبرتها بلنا الراي نباخم أحوات بصوت عيادات دكاي يا ريت دكاي هلو قرما يجمر لنا خفتلنا قرب وسخ
Okay. هراي goitom. بمجمرتا I don't have really a question. Then زي مالت
everybody can speak in the way in the language that they want to.
Okay.
Ahmed is able to understand and he can ask us if he has any difficulties later on. Arabic, Tigrinya, English.
Okay. First of all, it's nice to meet my brother Ahmed from Dankalia, where I believe and I feel that is most part of my feeling is Dankalia, because I gave I was there for in the hard time of Dankalia, and even the picture which is behind me is the hill right on the side of Barrasole on the way to Beilul, and it was taken in a very hard time. I don't like to mention this time. But what I want to ask is, out of the 5 sultanates of Afar, Rohaita Sultanate, Biru Sultanate, Gobat Sultanate, Tojura and Awasa Sultanates, 3 of them are located in the area of Afar, which is known as which is part of Eritrea today. And I remember people from inside Djibouti and Ethiopia, and to be precise, from Doha and Ab'ala, the people were coming to the part of Eritrea, feeling that they belonged to Eritrea at that time, and they were offering a lot of things. I don't know today how are you dealing with these feelings, and it was hard for us at that time also to tell them that, or to say that they are on the other side of the border, but being from the Sultanate of Bir, and its capital city was in Abayni, which is in the part of Eritrea, and you have mentioned also how Mohammed Ahaw. I hope he is alive and wish him long life. So now, can you see that that the center of the Afar gravity is that of Eritrea. If we take the three sultanates and their extensions to Ethiopia and to Djibouti, we do see these things. And the other thing which I want to ask is, you have mentioned that people are facing in their livelihoods mainly on fishing, but also there are herdsmen in Dankalia, which as mostly they live on raising goats and selling them to the east coast of Dankalia. And how these people are living, and they are most of the people, because if we take that only from let me talk about southern Dankalia. If we talk about from Eddi until we reach the other side of Dankalia, till the border, there are fishermen on this coastline, but they are not. If you compare them to the herdsmen or to those who live on animal husbandry, they are not too much in number. So how is the life of these people today also under the current situation of the PFDJ? So I want to know how they are dealing their life, these people. So this will be my question to you. I have had a lot to say, but things are getting with my emotion and seeing Dankalia and all the pictures that you have put in the screen. Let me stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Girmay. How painful it was, yes. Brother Ahmed, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Girmay, for such a touching story about your past in Dankalia and all your colleagues that you have lost. We are really grateful for the people like you, because we need people like you. And the two questions you posed, one related to the sultanates of the Afar sultanates. Yes, there are 5 Afar sultanates, 2 of them in Djibouti. Tajora and Gobat Sultan is in Djibouti. 2 sultanates are in Eritrea, that's Rahaita and Biru. It used to be Garifo. That's the resistant center for Afar struggle during the Italian period. And of course, there is a bigger sultan in Ausa, the Ethiopian sultan. You may have heard Sultan Ali Mirah,
Yes.
very influential historic sultan that is currently still exists in Ethiopia, in the Afar region. So unfortunately for us in Eritrea, you can say we have lost 1 sultanate. That's the sultanates that I talked about dearly. That's a Biru sultanate. It exists as a name, but all of those sultans, like people Ahmed, those people who sacrificed so much, are still in exile. They are not in a way to live with their people, rule over their territories, rule over their people as their ancestors have done. But the sultans of Rahaita still exist, even though it has some capacity, but it does what it does to simply exist, I should say. But it has no way close to the powers that they used to have during the Italian or French colonial periods, including with the Turkish Empire. The second point, the second question is the pastoralists. Of course, Brother Girmay, the pastoralists have been impacted severely, heavily. They have lost so much. In fact, we don't talk about their losses because most of them have fled Eritrea. They are in the camps and the refugee camps. All their animals have been destroyed. The most example I can give you is the Parash area that is being taken, that Badda and Marsa Fatuma and close to the those areas. The complete way of life, the pastoralist life, have been destroyed. You know, the Eritrean regime had deployed so many soldiers in the area, even though very far away from the Potash site, they cannot go from one place to another place with their animals. So the only option they have is to leave Eritrea. That is the way their situation. So of course, we talk a lot about the fisheries because daylight shootings and killing of our fishermen by the likes of United Arab Emirates and others. Now that is in the cameras, so we can see the videos, but the atrocities against these pastoralists are not documented. We cannot see it, but it is happening in an unbelievable rate. It's affecting our people. So thank you for that question.
I personally agree. Plus, the Afar people did not start evacuating, running away from their land when after the PFDJ took over and denied everything. They started to fled their area. One, when the war between us and Dergi was taking place, crossed the Red Sea, many people. Then the civil war didn't leave them in peace. The civil war between ELF and EPLF has tremendously affected them in the way of their life. And many of them, when I was injured and went for treatment to the Yemen, thousands of them were under the mercy of refugee UNHCR in Kocha. So start looking at their number and looking at what they have gone through all those times, and then what everybody else started to face. I cannot believe there are some people living there now. It's very hard to believe that there are people living in those areas. Naturally, fisheries, as we said, has been affected, but the herdsmen move according to where the rain is. So they go up to Wollo and those areas when rain is not dropping in Dankalia. When PFDJ and others tremendously affected, their sons and children cannot stay there too. It's worse than the natural disaster. So they have moved to anywhere they think it is safe. And I find it very hard to believe that there are people still living in Dankalia. Thank you. Brahane, did I see Brother Ismail's hand? It was too long and he left. Anyway.
No. I just wanted to comment instead of question.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Brahane Hawi. Brahane Radda. Question.
Okay. Salamat. Kami msikong kutip-kadatim. Kira msikir EANC. أخي بالله يوسف آخر تسكخ سمع إليه تقدرني أسمع تقدرني أسمع
يردعك واحد
هو أحمد الذي أنا بتقدرني أتعرف كات إنجليز ماتي ما يكلم ناس ساتاتي الذي خيخ فأكا مترجم زغنا هينو تصبوا ديشكور قبل سنة كان زعما فلا في زرانا إرتاح خونزر جود الزرارة أو يعني تقدش نادكالات بينهم ولا كوا أو مراتون أو جرمان تتداربوا نيرناس لزنارناسي بزح كذا خروج اللي أنا نهز بيتاب مود وسلسفن بتغلى الوسلسفن مالك إلكا زي ما كل محضرة اللي أو إرتاح زي ما كل محضرها الفدرالي مرتاح فيها له تحراب روسيو ناي سلطان مكففال كله له that means هذا أكل تحقق يقولون ديكونسي نجزا نفسه سلطان كمي غير يعني باور شيرينج هاتو نيركاس للباور شيرينج تداخلين كمي تشارك خونزلو كمان زغلت كيف كان سلسي أبزي أسفع بالكاتة قلت لنا تصبوني يوم important point سمعنا نعي actually ولا كان مساعدكم أدهر تدي وركو مالس مساعدكم أول تدي كونكو في حساب بتاعمي دقفو حسابي أنا بوغني سلازي كسمع لي فدريشن كلا أوكي شو منت أو ركيتاز نورا ساتن لناتن محضرة خلونا له قلت ولا زرارو أيجنت فدريشن كقولتهم كلا لنا أبرسيت نايشيت أن ككل كونا لون ولا زرارو نسخة آخر ردوهم كلا لنا كندقفوكم تداخلنا وانتي أنا بوغني كندقفوكم تكونين قالوا تكايب لي رتا ذات حاسة حتى نوها قد فكال.
Thank you, Berhane. Berhane Redda may not have said the words that I am going to say, but on the whole, we heard very good points in terms of autonomy, self-determination, land rights, power sharing constitution, decentralized federal state. We heard all this, but the devil is in the details, as they say it. He is asking for a bit of detail so he can make his mind. Thank you. I said it on his behalf.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Berhane. I'm gonna Berhane a really very important question. Of course, when we talk about this model, the Afar model, many of our brothers have already discussed this, and I just see our elder Heroi just joined, so he's him and I have talked about this in the rights of our people in the past, and very others who are maybe in this forum can also support if something is amiss from my side. But when we talk about power sharing, basically what we alluding to is what Eritrea is currently, what has been taking place in Eritrea currently. So this is the regime in Eritrea has deliberately took power from the Eritrean people. As you may know, the current regime is a highly centralized nation in Africa, if not in the world. Do not respect the past history of Eritrea, does not respect the diversity of our people, does not respect our rights to economy, not respect to every aspect of our livelihood is being under attack. This is not just for the Afar, it's all of the Eritrean people. So for all of us, it is in the best interest of our people, knowing our history, knowing our particular grievances, knowing about the daily struggle of our people. And we have already seen the examples that nations like Canada, United States, Belgium, Switzerland, and other nations who are advanced, who have multi-ethnic and multi-religious communities, how are they going to protect the rights of all of their people? And we see this in the model of decentralizing power to the regions, to the provinces. So if we were able to do this as Eritreans, if we can see past our the time of our struggle for independence, Eritrea is not going anywhere, whether Isaias is alive or dead. So what we have to do from today is, as oppositions, so many of us are saying, let's first remove Isaias. But the problem with that is because we are thinking like that, because the people like Afar have seen the hard way, like Brother Goitom has mentioned, when the regime came in to the Afar territory victorious, the Afar did not fled. The Afar were part of the struggle, even though our region was in margins from the center. So the Afar supported the independence struggle and supported, sacrificed so much, if not more than many historically, if you count. Counting our percentage per capita, the Afar have paid so much for this nation to be an independent Eritrean nation. So it is up to us, all of us, the Eritreans, to say enough is enough. We can be united as a democratic opposition, that we can unite our resources, reunite our people where we are in exile, where we can defend our rights and remove this regime. If we were able to have a common understanding of what kind of Eritrea we want to build, then the unity will automatically come. So this is what I see when I say it's a power sharing constitution. So we need to draft, even though it's a document, we need to draft a document that is allows for the power sharing to take place. And the best way to do that is that to have a federal model that is decentralizing power between the federal state and the regions. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Yeah, by the way, حبرتها أنا في سويسرلاند نبر نتي جوال كايو أرستي بزيادة عميقة فوتوز على المغنيات. That's why I had to call power sharing.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Okay. أحمد الله قويتم.
I think الكامس لأن الترفق الذي
بس دحين حرولا
دحر هو أبي علال دحر مسد خلي خا إتلان دعنا حتى الآن يا ولدك يا ريتها. Thank you. Okay, go ahead. نباهم. I think أنا برؤيتك نسجلنا بتون دحر زي اللي
أونلاين تحت الله بيتو
أونلاين تحت حتى الله
أبشات online can ask it.
Okay. يتحجزنا عم ببا.
All right, hold on, let me read it.
Okay. New message.
Facebook it's from Mr. Teshome Berhane. It says as follows: I heard for the first time from General Takaste about the heroes from Dankali, and there were a lot of EPLF leaders when the struggle started. However, I didn't hear such stories from the current junta, and I didn't see those heroes in your slides. What is the reason? Don't you think it is time to recognize them and talk about their heroic contribution for independence? Yeah.
Okay. I think Brother Ahmed said, on the whole, if we look at it per capita, for the number of people in relation to other parts of Eritrea, Dankalia has contributed more. The people have done what they could in their best. Names and details can be raised up by the man who is questioning himself to help us. It doesn't mean Brother Ahmed doesn't know, but you can only list in a certain situation, you can only list certain people, and he has done from old history rather than recent, which we don't know. The ones that we know is there, and we can mention them. Brother Girma can mention a lot. I name maybe a minimum 10 and more. But the point is, the people as Afar people has done, like many other Eritreans, if not more, to contribution to the independent, to Eritrea to be independent. Thank you.
I think Goitom.
I will let Brother Ahmed have a say on that. Yes,
Okay.
David.
All right. Okay. Well, the question is focused on the Denkali fighters who contributed to the independence struggle were not mentioned in your slides. That's the question of the person is asking. Can you mention some, or is there any reason why you didn't want to mention?
Mr. David, he has done, people that Girmay and I know that we have been struggling with us in Dankalia are in the list. But is it all exclusive, including everyone? No.
Let's leave to Ahmed.
Okay. Yeah, obviously.
Goitom.
Yes.
Goitom.
Yes.
I think let me elaborate what has been written from the Facebook question. What the person is asking is, you have shown us on your slides many heroes from Dankalia, which the current junta in Eritrea has never said a thing about them. So isn't it time to say something about them? That's what he's asking. If you look at the question closely,
Okay.
that's what it says.
Thank you. Which is different side of the question as well. I think I will leave the floor to Brother Ahmed, though I have a lot to comment on that as well.
I think you've said it, and I've also shared what I like you said. There's so many to list, and we may have the reason Sharia is not talking about the sacrifices of the Afar. Can only Sharia know why, and not only the Afar. They're not talking about many people who have made their possibilities success to the struggle of Eritrea's place in the world. So to my point, this is what we can only perhaps do in the future is to bring more of these names that are not in the limelight of maybe the newspapers or websites like this. So in the future, we will organize names that can be shared with more Eritreans, even though Sharia don't want to talk about them.
Thank you. Just for information, the pictures covered from 1869, people who lived from 1869
Yes.
until 1991. It's a huge number of years. So you can only pick certain people if you want to cover all this. You cannot name everyone.
Yes,
but as far as I am concerned, there are people there who fought Italians. There are people there who worked with or against Emperor Haile Selassie. There are people there who worked with Dergi time. There are people on the pictures who have been in ELF. There are people in the pictures who have been with EPLF. So
yes,
it covers the period, as I said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mebrahtu Hawi. Dr. Mebrahtu.
Okay, thank you, Goitom. Thank you, Ahmed Yusuf. نائب حقي دسبل مهاري أقراربا كم زبلكم حزبي عفر زحمة يكونن بهاجراونتو ولا بزي نايجر لعبر كتوهابوز إناون نتي ناي رفرندم دوتسي وندهرينا يو بركابيتا تبوحد خونه غاليت حزبي تيغوز رجن ناي رفرندم كابتزلا على دمتنا ناس ندر مس حزبي يكون دلي عجب أب ناي أحمد يوسف قرار باخملس تاناي Afar Model أبناء Diaspora ቃልሲ ክነተግብራ እንድያ ትብል ሕጂ እታ ናይ ዓፈር ሞዴል እንታይ እያ ኣይገለፃን ዘሎ ኣነ ከም ዝመስለኒ ምናልባት እቲ ናይ ዓፈር ሞዴል ኣብ ሃገር ክግበር ዘሎ ዝተሓስበ ወይ ከዓ ኣብ ዲክላሬሽን ንኣብነት ኣብቲ ናይ ሰማራ ዲክላሬሽን ድሓር እውን ሞዲፋይድ ኮይኑ ብናይ ኡፕሳላ ዲክላሬሽን ዘቐረበ ተኮይኑ ከም ናተይ ርእይቶ ናይ ኤትኒካዊ ፌደራሊዝም ዝመሰረቱ ምሕደራ ክንክተል ዝብል ይመስለኒ ሕጂ ሕቶይ ንኣሓው ኣሕመድ ዩሱፍ ካብዚ ዝሓለፈ ናይ ኢትዮጵያ ተሞክሮ ዝረኣናዮ እዚ ናይ ሱዳን እውን ሪኦ ዘለና ኤትኒካዊ ፌደራሊዝም ኣብ ናይ ዜጋ መሰል ዘይተረጋገፀሉ ሃገር ወይ ከዓ ናይ ፖለቲካ ኩነታት ካብዚ ናይ ኢትዮጵያ ናይ ሱዳን እንታይ ክንመሃር ንኽእል ከም ማይነሪቲ ኸ እንታይ ሰዓብን ክህልዎ ክእል ንህዝቢ ዓፈር ከም ህዝቢን ህዝቢ ኤርትራውን ብሓፈሽኡ ህዝቢ ኢትዮጵያ ንሪኦ ዘለና መሰል ናይ ዜጋታት ዘይተረጋገፀሉ ኩነታት ናይ ኤትኒክ ፌደራሊዝም ፖለቲካ ምስ ትኽተል ዳርጋ ናብ ፋሽስታዊ ዓይነት ኣተሓሳስባ ዘንቢሉ ምፅብፃብ ዘይብሉ እቲ ሓደ ኣብ ንሕናን ንስኹምን ዝብል እቲ ሓደ ወገን ክብደል ከሎ እቲ ሓደ ውይ ዘይብለሉ እቲ ሓደ ክዕምፅ ከሎ እቲ ሓደ እቲ ናተይ ከባቢ ናተይ ብሄር እዩ ዝብሎ ሰብ ምስኡ ኮይኑ ዝውግነሉ ኩነታት ኢና ኣብ ኢትዮጵያ ንዕዘብ ዘለና ሕጂ ኣብዚ ዘለናዮ ህሞት እሞ ከዓ ዲሞክራሲያዊ ስርዓት ወይ ከዓ መሰል ዜጋታት ዘይተኸብረሉ እዋን እዚ ናይ ኤትኒክ ወይ ከዓ ኤትኖሊንግዊስቲክ ፌደራሊዝም ኣብ ኤርትራን ተተኣታተናስ እንታይ ሰዓብን ክህልዎ ይኽእል ወይ ከዓ ኣይኮነን ተኮይኑ እቲ ናይ ሰማራ ናይ ኡፕሳላ ዲክላሬሽን ዝብል ነበረ ውሳነታት ወይ ከዓ ዝሓለፈ ነጥብታት ተቐይሩ ድዩ ምክንያቱ እቲ ብዙሕ ስግኣታት ካብ ዝደንበ ተቃውሞ ዝመፅእ ኣብኡ ኣመልኪቱ እዩ ሕጂ ኣብኣ ዝያዳ ቁሩብ ተዝብል ደስ ምበለኒ ይቀኒየለይ ሓው ዩሱፍ
Are you okay, Brother Ahmed?
Yes, thank you, brother Mebrahtu. I got the point. Thank you. So first of all, let me thank brother Mebrahtu. It shows that he's following us since the Samara Declaration. We have upgraded that to Uppsala Declaration, and of course now we have upgraded that further to include Eritrea-wide. That's why we call it, as it used to be called, the Afar Model for the Samara Declaration. And then you're right, the Samara Declaration had some ingredients of ethnic federalism for Eritrea, but through our engagement with the various Eritrean groups, democratic views, civil society groups, the word ethnic have become allergic to many of them. So we are shying away, we are keeping the word ethnic out. But in reality, what we're talking about is the decentralized form of governance, which is not foreign to Eritrea, by the way. Eritreans have enjoyed this in 1952. Prior to the 1991 takeover of this current military tyrant, the Eritreans have governed themselves. You know, the 8 provinces structure is not ethnic structure, but it's a regional structure. So this is separating the power, like we said, between the regions and the center. So if you allow me again to share this screen with you, let's see if I can share this.
Yeah, you can share it.
Yeah, okay, here we go. Okay, so to Brother Mebrahtu's question, which is very important, this is what we mean. In the Samara Declaration, we have not, in the Uppsala Declaration, it has a component of what you have said. This is, in fact, I will come to this point, to what we hope to do from move on when we finish this seminar, with this presentation, Snitna organized presentation, we wanna definitely delve into what we're going to do next in our conference. So this is basically the idea here, is to have a decentralized model. And that means protecting Eritrean sovereignties, national integrities and tradition. So traditional borders. What we talk about power sharing, as you may see in my screen here, a federal model that will protect the rights of all of our provinces, that is known to all Eritreans. So, this means we are democratizing our country through rule of law, democracy. Yes, there are components of ethnic nationalities in Eritrea. They cannot be denied. That's what Eritrea regime wants us to believe. We are one culture and one people. We are not. Unfortunately, we know better than what the Eritrean regime has in plan for us. We know that Eritrea's diversity and culture is our power. It's a power of our wealth. To have such a diverse background means Eritrea could emerge as a very strong nation after the PFDJ. Well, what we're saying is the regional arrangements, the regional states need to have their own governments, which they freely elect and have a control over their resources. And this should be guaranteed in the rights, for the rights in the constitutional arrangement. So basically, the ethnic model that Brother Mebrahtu have talked about is not the fact that what we include in our Afar model. So hopefully this is some uniting factor that is attractive to many of our Eritrean brothers and sisters.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on, yeah? Froini, after Mariam, come here, long time.
Salam Goitom. Salam كلكم بحبار.
Most welcome.
سمع لكم.
Why?
Thank you. كور أحمد كتاتل أنيحة. بزح تماهيرة. زي فلتو بزح نقرالو بزعبا حبرة السبنة بزعبا حزب عفر وكان هي تسفى ميكائيل زحفة متحف. تقعد علي مساهم. زلابارز صحفة بتعمل important history of Afar people كوينة رخيبية and the uniqueness of their culture. أو خستبهل كإله بزح زيادة فلت وانت من يتعلني. سلازنا زي event زي أحد ركب كلها بتعمل حقوسين. حتى تدالي زنبركو بزحات حدوثاتي ندلواني. إتاوساني تحطو حجي تحاتي تا قرمي زحاتي تا مبرهتو. So إتا ناي language aspect كحاتتي سامالتي دماتي terminology indigenous people كبهالن كولوسي. In a sense of native people مالت ندحر كوينو. Who is indigenous and who is not of Eritrea. حجي قول قلت في الرئيس عفار كناما and نارا كم indigenous way native people define the page رهيبة أبقال كا كل حزب إرترا ولا تقرينيا تزاربتون indigenous people مخانم يحبر مالتي لازم نحن كلنا indigenous كويناس why use the term indigenous what makes the Afar people indigenous more than others, yeah? So caring I would like us to be on the same level if historically that's possible. Historical eye to eye, face to face, on the same level. بزعبا مزايت إرترا نزارب نخيل معلتيو. أنت زي كونون حنتي قالزت هتقام كايالا من علبتنا السرعات مالت كاتخون. Afar people colonized كوينام زبل term تطعيمها جي ندحر model of Canada قال ندحر كنرأو خوينا ويا أستراليا. The indigenous people are with the law, of course, they are colonized by migrant, immigrated white people and others later. So there's a difference is a law, is that the term in a sense of migrants and natives, that is going to be another discussion in the but if we consider ourselves on the same level indigenous, but maybe some dominating the other, because oppressing all. أبزي مثلاً في language كنسامع زي فلتو نجار انتلو بناتكم perspective كورها اللي دس مبلني بدياتها حنت حتى هالقون أبت محدرة decentralized federal and then at the same time autonomous governance كاتبن حجي autonomy خاليو federal state كونكا كم زنايبة على الجرمن وينايبة على السويز انتاد أو كوينوها still في اللي يالون أي سويز ناي جرمن وهناك جرمن one language بتقامو أب سويز 4 أنقاط تقامو so the federal دبل قال كنت تقاملون كلناسي on the reality the constitution different power نتي wake up power sharing is a law. Selezi ammentai natkum focus. I need to model natkum. Afar model is based on what? Which country? Or is it self-invented, which is also possible? من هالبس دقيم كحتنا تصرات كألت خوينو. لحد customary laws اللوني الثانيركا. Before that, maybe to territory. نتصير كيا حجنيركا. See 9+ diversity of تبلن كلها أنا رجز أنا بركون is it based on ethnic or on the regional historical regional territories كم ترد عن حج قدم عبيلك هانز قالت كايوجن تي historical territories نايتي نحنا ورجاتات نقوله أولاد ست بس بقى ورجاتات زفلت محتراتات مالت كخون فعلي. So is 9+ the way you used it, the territories or the ethnic, or both? And what does it mean on power sharing? The customary laws is kanirka, the customary laws the سرعات زي أفريسوات will. مثلاً customary laws كاب زمن هاي لسلاسة حيزي فريسو على التليانون ብዙሕ ነገር ተተናኺፉ ወይ anyway ጽናዕ ዘለዎ ነገር ይብን ህዝብና ብዝያዳ ስጋብ ብኡ ይጸኒሑ ስጋዕ ዝሰርዓት ዝተፈናቅሎ so ሕቶ ሕጂ customary laws ናይ ዓፋር ኣሎ ድዩ is it a written form, is it in English or in Tigrinya available? I would be very interested. So أبزي حقيقون حتوتات أبزح قد فيه يغنتي اللي thank you and هر زي بالحالكان نقرأ له point for point تقمر لي تخليها أورها الكخفتني thank you
for
I think we have many questions so far so after dealing with the questions which was just posed. Can we go for a brief break after that and then continue with the rest of the questions?
Yeah, why not? Brother Ahmed will answer Frawayni's questions and then we can have a break.
That's perfect. As I needed also this break, I just need to pick up somebody in 15 minutes, hopefully, and come back and continue. So, yeah, thank you. You want me to go ahead and deal with Sister Frawayni's questions?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, Sister Frawayni, it's very, very important questions that you raise, and We also appreciate the question about indigenous people and the way the Afar model will cover the mainstream hopefully can buy into it. So again, I'm going to share this document, Brother Goitom.
Okay.
Just in case, let me just share this. Okay, quickly. So, Froini, if you can see this point here, this is a letter to then a special rapporteur of indigenous people in the United Nations. We wrote this letter on behalf of Afar people on the concept of indigenous people. So to help us with this, we use expertise of indigenous expertise. Someone named Professor Sébastien Grammont, a Canadian, is actually the federal judge right now. He used to be a university professor here in Ottawa University. So what they have done is to take, like you said, the points that make who is indigenous. The question of indigeneity is always been conflicting between many populations. So first of all, let me say my opinion. Anybody that says that I'm indigenous is allowed to have that right. It's not something that Ahmed or anybody else can say, no, you're not indigenous or you are indigenous. This is not up to us. This is people's rights to who they are. This should be to the people who are demanding who indigenous is. So having said that, the experts in the field have categorized 4 levels of indigeneity. How do you maintain, okay, in summary, the fact that a modern international organization and legal expert, including indigenous legal expert members of academic family, have considered relevant to understanding of the concept of indigenous people. So including what makes these people indigenous. Number 1, according to the expert, priority in time with respect to the occupation and use of a specific territory. Meaning when it applies to the Afar, we just spoke about the territory of Dankalia, for example. They have occupied this territory, have lived there since 5 millennia. This is one thing. Number 2, the voluntary perpetuation of cultural distinctiveness, which means which may include aspects of their language, social organization, religion, spiritual values, modes of production, laws, and institutions. If you apply this to the Afar, for example, the cultural distinctivity of the Afar people, if you look at it, Dankalia have a distinct territory. The people within it are known to practice fishery, for example. So the people who have their economic or their cultural or their spiritual mode of how they express themselves is what makes them an indigenous community within that specific territory. Okay, and self-identification is another example. And also number D here is very important. An expression of subjugation, marginalization, colonization, discrimination. The Afar can fill all of these when you see it. Maybe more so than other parts of Eritrea. When the colonialists first came, they always come to the Afar territory. Unfortunately, we are the buffer zone that is protecting from colonialists to go further into the hinterlands. I had just gave you the example of the Biru Sultanates. So this is how the Afar are identified in international norms into the concept of indigeneity. And this is how we call ourselves, not just because we are there prior to 5,000 years we occupied that, or we have a bone called Lucy. But the combination of this, all of these, is a complement to our indigenous way of life. So hopefully this is, for Wayne, this is a satisfactory to you. As far as the autonomy and the rights to self-determination, or the political autonomy in certain region is concerned, again, this is not something we as EANC or the Afar and Denkalia can, okay, let me share this again so you can see. Here you go. So you see this map here. This is predates the I think this map is, if I'm not mistaken, it's there since 1952. Correct me if I'm wrong, my fellow brothers here. So in this map, in the one on my right, talks about provincial and major towns in Eritrea. These are, when I say power sharing, what we mean is this map here. Some of it are ethnic map. For example, if you take Dankalia here, Dankalia is overwhelmingly ethnic Afar, but also a region distinct, and also a region that has been one of the 8 provinces that have existed since Eritrea's history. And the others are, of course, you may know, Sahel, Samhar, Akala Guzai, Sarai, Hamasin, Senhit, Barka. And all of these provinces can be applied as, can be a federal provinces when you have a power sharing, a federal constitution. And again, ethnicity components, even though it's not sexy, or it's not acceptable by many of our people, we cannot shy away from it. We are ethnic Afar, we are ethnic Kunamas, we are ethnic Saho, we are ethnic Tigrinya, we are ethnic whatever, Vile. So we have this component. Let's use it positively, not negatively, as some of you may have attributed to the Ethiopia's ethnic federalism. So we can also benefit from our ethnic diversity, our religious diversity, our regional diversity, in a way that is, we can have a model that fits Eritrea. We don't have to take Switzerland model or Canada's model or Germany's model, but we can fit ourselves. We are people who are tired of military tyrannical oppression. So we need to come together and say, listen, Eritrea is vast. Eritrea is all inclusive for all of us. Our resources can go from one end to another end. We have our peoples sacrifice so much. We have so much talent inside or outside Eritrea. Let's come up with a solution that's going to unite us. And we believe the federal model, based on the provinces that I'm just sharing with you, is the best solution for Eritrea. Not only for tomorrow, but it's going to unite us here today. If we come to an agreement that we, as Eritreans, want this kind of equality and justice among Eritrean people, then there's no way why we cannot unite today and remove this tyrannical system tomorrow. So hopefully that's the answers your question, Freudi. And of course, I forgot to mention the customary laws that you mentioned. Yes, the customary laws. There are written customary laws in the Afar society, but also there is customary laws in the Kabesa, I believe, and others have their own customary laws. In Afar's case, the customary laws, the Sultanate is based on customary laws. The land distribution, which Afar tribe is where their entitlement in the land is based on the customary law. Who is going to be marry who is in the customary law. Who, if there is a conflict between the two tribes or two individuals, the customary law is resolving that. So customary law traditional laws are our internal constitution for those given territory and people. So hopefully that answers your question again. Thank you.
ሕግንዳባ
Hegandapa. That's right.
Okay. እሞ ሕጂ ኦኬ ተመሊሻ እንደኾነ ፍረወይኒ ኩለን ተወዲአን ኮይኑ ትሰምዐኒ ኦኬ ከምኡ ካብ ኮነ
የቀኒያለይ ብጣዕሚ ከመስግን ደሊ ብዝዕግብ ኣገባብ ተመሊሰናለይ
very good okay እምበኣር ሕጂ ዕርፍቲ ክንወስድ ሓዊ ኣሕመድ እውን ሃብታብ ፅቡቅ ግዜ ኢልኩም ኣለኹም ኢሉ ስለዚ ከም ኣንቢብዮ ዘለኹ ምልስ ምስ በልና ሕጂ ፓወር ናተይ ክጥቀመላ ምልስ ምስ በልና ቀዳማይ ብርሃነ ድሕሪኡ ሓዊ ጨፈና ድሕሪኡ ግርማይ ድሕሪኡ እስማዒል ክንሶም ንዘይ ተዛረቡ ዕድል መታን ክህብ ቅድም ናምበር 1 ሓዊ ጨፈና ይክዛረብ ናምበር 2 ሓዊ እስማዒል እዩ ድሕሪኡ ብርሃነ እዩ ዘሕመቆ ስለ ዝኾንኩ መወዳእታ ከዓ ግርማይ ሓወይ እዩ ድሕሪኡ ዝመፁ ካልኦት ክንርኢና عرفتين 15 دقيقة مثلا أحمد كتعن
15 ولا 5
10 is fine for me.
10 is fine.
10 is okay.
Okay. 10 دقائق negotiate قرنا لنا داويتهم.
All right 10.
تعرف بطعمة سحابي سلزخونة أي تملسني خمس بالميزانية بالله أنت أمامي طعم مشتك أخسر دعرة